Hello, everyone, and welcome to eSpeaks, the show where we unpack the biggest ideas shaping enterprise strategy and performance. I'm your host, Corey Knowles, and today we're zeroing in on the ROI of finance automation, real world results from global companies. To guide us through the numbers and the nuance, we're joined today by Daniel Shimtov, Director of Finance for EMEA at Tipalti. Hey, Daniel, how you doing?
I'm good, Corey. Good. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. So Daniel is a CPA with more than a decade of experience leading finance teams across Israel, the UK, and Netherlands. Before Tipalti, he managed audits for Marquee Tech and banking clients at KPMG Israel, and later served as financial controller at Sunday Sky. At Tipalti, he's overseeing audits, treasury, compliance, and cross border operations. This gives him a front row seat to how automation fuels growth at scale. Today, we're going to explore the global landscape of finance automation, what's driving adoption, and where companies are still struggling, how to calculate real defensible ROI beyond headline time savings, and some implementation stories from multinational companies that proved the payoff, as well as future strategies like AI, machine learning, and Tipalti's own roadmap. So, Daniel, you've been doing this a while now, and what significant changes have you seen over the years in how global companies approach finance automation?
Well, over the few years, the finance automation it has evolved a bunch from a back office efficiency to a strategic growth enablers. Companies are not just automating to save time; they're doing it to scale faster, to reduce the risk and maintain control in an increasingly complex global environments. We've seen a major shift in mindset, especially when it's post-COVID area, when you have the automation is now being very fundamental in any scope. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, so how do finance needs differ between companies operating in, say, North America, the UK, and continental Europe, for that matter?
I would say in North America, they mainly focus on cost efficiency, which
That
makes
checks out.
sense. In the UK, companies tend to prioritize more compliance and audit readiness, good governance and adaptation. While in continental Europe, we do face more than just complex tax structures and complex localization challenges. So there needs centered regulatory adaptation, the language, which is very big barrier, call it that way. If you were operating in the UK or in the US, if you just take the European UK market altogether compared to the US market, it's similar in size. But there's one language and one currency in the US, while there's two currencies, sometimes more, and various languages. So that's the main differences.
Yeah, that seems like a lot to juggle. What are what are the most common pain points you see companies who are trying to scale globally without proper automation? I think leading into that with currency was a good call.
Well, there's a lot, obviously, finance is an old world, call it that way. So
Yeah.
we're getting there. I think I'm not as young as I used to be, but let's say future accountants, CPAs, finance people, personnel would be much more um, ad like tacky oriented, and they would love to integrate all of the technology. I would say basically the manual process they don't scale. Team struggles with the payment delays, with the foreign exchange errors, compliance gaps. There's much big lack of visibility across all the entities if you take companies who have various entities around the world, which
Hmm.
also leads to a burnout. Finance teams can constantly, firefighting instead of adding strategic value. So without automation, global expansion can really bottleneck by the operational complexity. So it's hard. We have to automate
Yeah.
our finance operations. Yeah.
Well, that leads me to another question. Kind of in thinking about proving the ROI around those things, beyond the obvious time savings, which metrics best capture the true ROI of finance automation?
hmm Well, again, time savings are important.
Mhm.
But you would say that the real ROI would be you reduce the error rates, you faster your month-end close, you improve your suppliers' certificate satisfaction, and audit preparedness. So when you have a better cash flow control, you can also do it better in any other aspects of your operation. So if you're reducing the need for incremental headcount, it could help even the company grows. But that's, let's say, the most visible ROI on that end. But there's other things, yeah, as mentioned.
Okay. On average, how quickly would you say that companies start to see returns after implementing an automation platform?
I would say typically within 3 to 6 months, you'll see
Okay.
improvements, yeah, in the workload balance. There's fewer payment issues, there's increased process reliability, and it's an adaptation scales across the region that with the teams, the ROI can really be visible.
Interesting. So what's the relationship between automation adoption and a company's ability to scale internationally?
Oh, it's critical. Automation creates consistent and scalable processes. So for especially
Okay.
AP payments, call it that way, and the compliance, it removes our reliance on, tribal knowledge and spreadsheets and stuff that are simply don't work and that don't hold up when you're operating in a multinational, time zones and currencies and jurisdictions. It just doesn't, you can't do it the other way at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a rather complex maze.
When you have companies which are multinationals, and today you don't have to be Google or Amazon to be a multinational. You just even a small company or mid-sized company has several locations and jurisdictions, maybe within the same country within the US. But if we talk about Europe, the European market, so obviously a company who's operating in France can easily operate in Germany or in Italy or in the UK, and you have language, currency, tax, jurisdictions, compliance, all of these really, affect the entire finance operations, and you need something that gathers all together under one umbrella. And I think that is the finance automation purpose of it all. Is you have this one-stop shop called that way. You can come and use the tools and the products that we specifically at Tipalti, but other companies also provide. Yeah,
Nice. Yeah, I guess I'd never considered the breadth of all of those complexities.
there's a lot. Yeah.
Would you mind walking us through maybe a UK based company that has successfully implemented Tipalti for global operations?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So one standout example is the UK-based headquarters SaaS company that expanded rapidly across all EMEA and North America. So they choose Tipalti to centralize all their global payments, payables, streamlining the supply onboarding, and automate their tax compliance. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So what kind of challenges do they face during implementation? How do they overcome that?
I would say the biggest hurdle are the adapting workflows when you cross multiple subsidiaries, integrating with other ERP and people who work closely with their finance and IT teams. We configure their global workflows. We ensure that there's a smooth data flows, implementation with phases to minimum disruption.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so how does automated automation help them manage cross-border payments and compliance issues along the way?
It's a good question because we at Tipalti we automate multi-currency payments, we handle the real-time effects, and we ensure that proper tax form collection and validation on that. We reduce basically it reduces the risk, and eliminate the needs to be manual intervention on the local workload. So if you think about it, instead of one person in Germany preparing or uploading an ACH, we call it in the US,
Uh,
to the bank in Germany for a payment in GBP pound in the UK, and you have another AP accountant in the UK trying to pay a vendor in France in euros while their operation currency is GBP. So that you see there's like a lot of things that really don't add up when you take it as a standalone. While we have a system and a platform that really integrate and consolidate all of it, I think it makes your life as a finance, manager, a leader, it makes your life much easier. Yeah.
I'll bet. I mean, it almost seems like the kind of thing that would be next to impossible to even track manually. I mean, I guess you could, but I can't imagine the staff and time it would take.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. I think I was in a prospect call with the prospect of ours, and he he was just presenting what the current process is at his company, and I was saying, listen, regardless if you think of taking Tipalti, you should really automate your processes. This is regardless. This is not a pitch. I'm just here to help my sales team, right? But
Yeah,
I'm telling you, as a colleague, you cannot continue to work that manually. It would definitely will not. It's not scalable. It will not work. You just
yeah,
you ruin yourself. You ruin yourself.
yeah, absolutely. You'd spend all your money counting your money and trying to figure out
Yeah,
how
it's
to
a
pay and who to pay.
it's a nice way to put it. Yeah.
So, are there any like unexpected benefits that surface as this company was going live?
I would say the supply onboarding time drops dramatically. So
Nice.
when a finance gain real-time visibility, the payable across the regions, the audit prep time. I don't know if our listeners are aware, but if they are, so I think they would really appreciate all the prep time you going into an audit. When it shrinks because we have this amazing tool that can really track everything. There's in at Tipalti, there's an audit trail for every invoice payment, a PO, a virtual credit card, and you can see literally what happens. So it reduces that, significantly, and teams are really able, the finance team are really able to focus on more strategic projects. So even the moral is improved. Figured out that there's through later night closing to the books. There's it's a better just way to operate. It's like I think that finance organization are now stepping into the 21st century. Finally with other,
Finally.
yeah, there are others. There are many other, verticals and aspects of a company's departments that really using technology. Some of
Hmm.
them create technology, at the SaaS company like Tipalti. But I think it's better late than never, I would say. And it's like, I wouldn't say we're competing with banks, but if you can, even you personally, when you try to communicate with a bank or trying to get a payment through, across borders and stuff, you would see how heavy and inefficient the way the banks are working. So I really hope, we're
Yeah.
the front of it, and then the banks would follow, talking as a bank customer even. Yeah.
It's always been a little slow for industries like finance, healthcare, you
Insurance.
know,
Yeah.
insurance. Like there's always a desire there, but it's more complex than it is with automating other things.
Yeah.
There are always a lot of layers, it seems like.
And there's money. When money is involved, yeah, it's really hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet it is that, and the need for like traceability, I would say, and when you're
Accountability,
talking about
traceability.
audits, the ability to do that with a dashboard or a generated report instead of a stack of ledgers is probably night and day.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, so let's talk a little bit about the future. How
Yes.
are how are AI and machine learning reshaping the finance automation landscape right now?
I would say very much, and I'm afraid I'm gonna lose my job sometime soon. I don't know. I'm kidding. But someday for sure.
Yeah, it's
So
relatable.
yeah. So today, AI is already transforming finance. So especially in areas like productive cash flow analysis, the anomaly detection, all the invoice specification, machine learning, it helps us to automate the routine approvals, the flag outliers, and just approve
Yeah,
data accuracy on time. So that's great. Yeah, we love AI.
nice. Well, which emerging capabilities should forward-thinking leaders in finance really be preparing for right now?
I would say the real-time payments.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's important. The ESG reporting, advanced compliance analytics are really key areas. Leaders should also be prepared for the increased demand of real-time data across departments. It's not just finance we're talking about, right? So there's compliance,
Yeah.
there's payments operation, there's engineering, the R&D, the sales and marketing. Everybody wants to get the data now. AI is an amazing tool and it helps us um, to evolve, and I think we should use it and think about it. It's not from just a finance perspective. Everybody, at the end of the day, it's money, right?
Yeah.
But it affects, every aspect of the company.
It really does.
Yeah.
How is Tipalti evolving its platform to
Mhm.
meet the future needs of global businesses?
Good question. So yeah, we're investing in smarter AI tools. We do expand
Cool.
our tax and compliance engines. We're deepening integration with the ERP. We work with various like all of the well-known big ones, obviously, but
Yeah.
we're getting into markets now in the European market. So we're trying to learn more about smaller ERPs in like specific regions. So for one example is we start working and integrate with SAP Business One, which is a big thing in Germany. Obviously, the German market is the biggest in the EU, and the procurement systems as well. So we really focus on flexibility without complexity. Complexity, call it that way. We're making global finance both scalable and intuitive.
And that's important. I think
Yeah.
the need to the need to go global, the need to scale. AI is kind of driving that across every industry right now in a lot of
Yeah.
ways, and it's
Yeah.
probably not going to slow down.
No, no, it's gonna increase, and we need to be ready for it. And sometimes companies, in general, are not ready for it. Or you just have to, you just need to be aware that someday something bigger is gonna happen, and you need to adjust. You always adjust. I think same as human
Yeah.
beings, a good company, if you're a resilient human being, you always adjust and adapt. Same goes for companies. So Tipalti is always adapting to the market, and she's not, as it would be expected from a fintech company, right? All the finance are
Yeah.
really, organized and strict. There's compliance and regulatory, but we have the privilege of being a tech company, and we're not a bank, but we do provide some banking services. So I think it's a great solution.
So with that all in mind, what best practices would you recommend for companies looking to, kind of future proof their finance operations now?
It's a good question. I would say just design with scale in mind. You have to choose, platforms that will integrate well with all your system, that support the multi-entity environment. Again, companies today have been working in various areas and regions. They have multiple entities, so they need to take that in consideration. They also need to allow for the compliance across the region. I
Yeah.
think, but the most important thing is you just don't delay automation. You have to do it before it is painful for you. It'd be much more productive.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
investment pays off at the end.
Oh, absolutely.
I think so. I don't
Absolutely.
know.
So what advice would you give to UK companies that are still a little hesitant to invest in financing automation?
First, I would say the cost of doing nothing is growing. If you're not doing anything, you're paying more. So manual
Yeah.
processes, they create hidden risk, right? So there's compliance gaps, there's overworked teams, and then you have the missed growth opportunities. So I would say just start with one area. You have the proof of the value for it, and just scale it from there. It really pays off at the end.
I agree.
Yeah.
So how can they balance that need for customization with the advantages of standardized automation?
I would say. The key is the platform that offers you smart configuration. It's not a
Okay.
full customization. So, for example, Tipalti doesn't, it allows to tailor the workflow by entity and region, while we do
Hmm.
maintain a global process, of control and audit trails and stuff that are like, I think, common for every region. You have to have an audit trail, whether you're in Israel, in the EU, in the US,
Hmm.
wherever, Africa. And the payment, the global payment or the controls around the payments, obviously, it's the same all around the world. So we can customize it, but not fully. I wouldn't do that.
That makes sense. That you'd kind of want to stick with the standard approach for a reason. Like there's a
Yeah.
reason it's standard.
Yeah. We heard it. We learned it. On our own. So yeah, with our clients.
Oh, I'll bet. I'll bet
Yeah.
over the years. What what resources does Tipalti provide to help companies calculate, the potential ROI before they make a decision on who they're going to go with?
To try to calculate an ROI on this. It's nothing very feasible, and with numbers, which I really like numbers, so it's hard for me even. So we offer an interactive, call it that way, ROI calculators. So just get to your peer benchmarks, case studies, consultation on the model cost saving, time recovery, risk reduction. It's a data-driven approach to do it like a de-risk of your entire environment. I think it would be the best resource, call it that way.
Okay. That's great. That's great because I'm sure this is no doubt an intimidating process to someone starting out and thinking, okay, we need to do this, but where do I even begin?
Yeah, it is. It is hard, but it's worth remembering. The start is same as everything in life is super hard. A
Yeah.
change, put it that way. I think the mindset of finance personnel, managers, leaders, talking more old school again. I'm in the middle. So if you have senior CFOs, which been in the industry for years, it's much harder for them. But
Yeah.
I would say the future leaders for sure. So I'm quite in the middle with my experience and my age now. But again, change is good. So it's hard to change sometimes, and the change is frightening and it's uncertain how things will develop. But I would just say if you choose the right provider, if your partner is talking about the fintech or the finance optimization partner that you're aligning with is a good one, as
Hmm.
Tipalti will always be there to support and make this transition as easy and seamless and with the best outcome for you. So just keep that in mind. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Well, that brings us kind of to the end of this episode of eSpeaks. A huge thank you to our guest, Daniel Shimtov, for breaking down the numbers and the hidden wins behind finance automation.
Thank you.
Daniel,
Thank you.
where can people go if they want to learn more?
They can go ahead for tipalti.com. You have the resources, demos, or success stories, or even if they want, they can reach out directly for me for a tailored ROI assessment.
Nice. Well, if you found value in today's discussion, please give us a follow, leave us a quick rating. We really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next episode of eSpeaks.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you so much.